Everybody ready? I guess we'll call the meeting to order with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess the first order of business is to appoint a chairperson. Anybody would like to have it, I'd be happy to give it to him, but Matt's already refused, and it's Bellevue's turn, so that probably leaves me left. So get that taken care of, we can move forward.
Make a motion, we make Steve chairperson.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Consideration of the previous meeting minutes.
Move your first.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence, anybody?
I just have a little poster here for, I think everybody heard about two of our firefighters rescuing a cat at the Bellevue Terrace fire. They're being honored at the Academy Awards on February 21st at the Phoenix from 6:30 to 10 o'clock. It's kind of their fundraiser / awards dinner, and they are having a silent auction. It's open to the public. If anybody would like some information, I have it right here. If you'd like to attend or know more about it, you can talk to Mike Gullett and Shane Schnell. That's all I have.
Chairperson report, I have nothing to report. I'm going to turn mine over to Mike in a second here. Finance and insurance, these are all new committees, so I don't think there's any reports on those. Administration personnel, we have none. Service and property report, we have none. And so we'll turn this report over to Mike.
Thank you, my chief's report. So if you were at Bellevue's council meeting last night, or Dayton's 2 weeks ago, you're hearing the same thing. First, I'd like to say thank you to the Bellevue and Dayton Public Works, Public Services. They did a great job removing snow for our emergency vehicles to get around the streets. I mean, they just did a brick from both Bellevue and Dayton did a great job, and it does mean a lot to get that life squad there in a reasonable amount of time, and fire trucks, and so again, thanks to Public Works. I also wanted to share we did receive a no-match grant for $3,200 from the Kentucky Fire Commission, which will be spent for a new thermal imaging camera. We have a 20-year-old camera, 15 to 20-year-old we're going to actually trade in and hopefully recoup some dollars from that, and then buy a newer thermal imaging camera, which will give us 2 newer cameras. We also received some grant money, $1,250 for an ambulance grant. We're going to use that to buy new innovation equipment for our squads. The firefighters also assisted with the Special Olympics in Northern Kentucky's annual polar plunge on February 7th at Joe's Crab Shack. We were able to provide the medics and our backup medic unit. That medic unit stayed there. I had a question last night in Bellevue Council, how many runs did you make there? I don't think they made any, but he said, one of the councilmen said, well, we've seen the thing up and down the avenue so many times. Well, they were making the guys working that day were actually making runs throughout the city. But the purpose of bringing those other medics in for these special events is to stay there on site. So it's kind of like the beach park events, and when Dayton has events, when they request a medic unit to come, it just stays there, makes runs only from that event. So in case anybody was asking. We did host the Campbell County Fire Protection Agency meeting here at the Callahan Center on February the 12th. That went very well. Bellevue Board of Education donated a house to us. It's the house that's next to Grandview Elementary School. They're going to tear it down. They're in no hurry. So the guys, you might see the trucks up there once it starts getting a little bit nicer training up there. We will not be burning due to the EPA regulations. So basically they'll be doing practicing search and rescue techniques, and then eventually venting the roofs, doing cuts. And then the Board of Education will have that building torn in. Right now we are accepting applications for an eligibility list for a firefighter paramedic job. We'd like to keep X amount of people on a list in case somebody would retire or happen to go to another department. We can just pull that person right up instead of going through the process, which usually takes 2 or 3 months, and pay that overtime. So those applications have to be in by March 7th, 2015. It's a Friday. And again, I'd like to invite everybody to visit our Facebook page, fdbd.org. Safety tips and a lot of good fire department information on there. A lot of people are always asking, can you provide us with safety, this and that, but our webpage has everything. So if you have a computer, I'd highly check it out. And that's all I have on my report. I did want to present our 5-year strategic plan to the board tonight. I think it's very important to have this plan in effect. We've been behind for a long time. We have a lot of aging equipment. With Dayton's flood wall taking off, projects they've had on the hill, we're saving a lot more people to our communities. And I really wasn't sure what our population, because it does change. When I first started the fire department, it seemed like there was a lot more people, but it seems like it's picking back up. Where Bellevue's right at 6,000 or so, and Bellevue's 5,300. You know, and that's just not counting the daytime population. And with that, in my report, I'm going to bring up about the importance of manpower. I mean, we've got 5 guys that are on shift, and when that medic unit goes out, you're down to 3 people covering that many people. It's just, if you do the math, it's not going to work, and it hasn't worked. And you know, we've been relying so much on Newport and Fort Thomas. I think Newport might have anywhere from 10 to 12 firefighters on shift, and Fort Thomas might have 7 or 8. And out in the county, they're actually hiring full-time. And you know, Central Campbell, who's Highland Heights and Cold Springs, I think they have 8 or 9 on shift now, 24 hours a day. So you know, at one time we were the leading department in the county. Now we're almost the last. Not that we're worse, but as far as aging apparatus and manpower, in a dense populated area that we're in, we're not out in the county. So like I said, I think it's now time to get a plan. This plan, if you look at your packets from 2014, 2019, if you don't have a packet, I think there's some on the table back here, if you want to follow. So what I'd like to get into is just get into the executive summary, which is number 1 on page 1. And in that, the 5-year strategic plan will seek to address 4 areas of immediate concern, and that's my concern and our fire officers' concerns. I've also reached out and talked to neighboring departments, chief officers and chiefs, and we put these in order of where we feel what we need first. And what we really need first, we just found out we really need is the replacement of our monitors and defibrillators. And then we've got increased personnel, and I'll get into all these here in a little bit. We're looking to actually redo our shower area and our restroom area, and then at the end replacing aging apparatus. You'll see on page 2 our mission statement, which that will stay the same. And on page 3 our current status of fire department, that's A through D. And again, we've got our monitors. I found out that our monitors, you can no longer update. You cannot. It will not take any more.
The software will.
The software. There's no more update. They're 7 years old. And again, once we get at the end, I want to talk about that. But the 2 monitors that we have currently utilized in the 2 ambulances are outdated, unable to perform diagnostic tests like the newer models. And all the other departments now are running with the newer models. We have the oldest model, with it being both models are 7 years old. The newer models help with the diagnostics, and they help, especially with cardiac. You're able to hook up and shoot this straight to the hospital, so the doctor knows what you're coming in with. He might see something that you don't see in the back of a bouncing medic unit that you're able to give a drug to help right away. Right now, we're having issues with that, and I think we're not even able to do that right now. So that's something we're looking at. Again, we're looking at the fire personnel. The current status of the personnel of Fire Department Bellevue Dayton is witness to long-term effects of doing more with less since the merger of the independent Bellevue and Dayton Fire Departments. That was in 2001. So we have 5 firefighters on duty, 24/48. You'll see that on page 4. With our staffing, you have 1 fire engine and 1 medic unit that's in service 24 hours a day. The engine has three firefighters, which would be 2 of those will be officers, and then you add the 2 fire medics on the ambulance. And what people don't get is that, our overdoses, cardiac arrest, trauma patients, they're going to pull a person off that engine to go with them to the hospital because they're going to need 2 people in the back of that medic unit, 1 to drive. So now we're back to 2 firefighters for 2 cities. And with, we have an 8-story building, 3 7-story buildings, and everything that's going on in Dayton on the hill, within 5 to 10 years of what's going on in that flood wall, as many squad runs as we make, 2 firefighters, we're not going to make any difference. And we're right now really depending on our neighboring cities to assist. They're getting busier as well, and Newport's getting ready to take off with their downtown area. And Fort Thomas comes, but it seems like it takes them 10 to 15 minutes to get here because they're up in the middle of town. And we witnessed that on the Irvin Terrace fire. It took them a while to get down here, and it was the weather wasn't nice, but so that's what we're looking at. I really want the board and the cities to look in the future. This is with both cities expanding, bringing more people in. Our daytime population is going to spike. We need now to get a plan. We're already behind the 8 ball. I think everybody knows that. We did have volunteers, 100-year tradition, Bellevue, Dayton. It's just not there anymore. The Fire Commission demands so many training hours, paramedic schools 2 years, EMT schools 6 to 8 months. You have to keep that up. You have hazard materials. It's just an inspector's class, and the people today just seem like they don't have the time. The ones we did train, we hired that live in our area. It's common throughout the United States that it's just a dying breed. You're going to find that more out in the rural areas. And in the cities, it's not there anymore. And so, we're not even looking at that as an option. Someone brought up about part-time, and I've talked to numerous departments that do part-time in Kentucky, and they said that's a nightmare. It's a paper nightmare, and trying to schedule is a nightmare. Their heart's not here. They work full-time, maybe Independence or Florence, and they come here just to make a couple extra dollars. Call in a minute before they're supposed to be at work. Now you're behind. You're trying to schedule more people, and it's just that hasn't been working. So I know Erlanger just finished the part-time, and the city just let the chief hire, I think, 6 new full-time paramedics. So I think they're running 8 to 9 paramedics or firefighters on shift now in Erlanger. So just fire station alterations and renovations. We talked about, our fire station was built. I've been there for 25 years, and it was built, when I started, we had 2 pay guys on duty. And it was built for 2 pay guys. You had 2 bathrooms and a couple beds. And now we have 15 firemen, and we've got 5 on shift. I'm there every day, Karen's there, and Fireman Joe's there on Wednesdays. You're looking at 8 to 9 people that could be there in the day with 2 bathrooms. And it doesn't seem that bad, but when you work overtime or when you get up in the morning, everybody gets up 7:45, and everybody has to go to the bathroom at the same time. You're waiting, or you come back from a fire, and we want to get our medic unit back in service, and we have to take turns taking showers. So you might wait an hour or 2, and you might get caught on a run. You've got ash on you or some other type of debris. You have to wait. There's been times where the firemen have to go over to the city building at Dayton to use the restroom because either the bathroom's broke, one's broke, and the other one's occupied. So with adding manpower, this is going to have to come too with the renovation of the restrooms. And fire apparatus, page 5, you'll see our frontline aerial truck that first out on the fire scene. It's 21 years old. Again, all my years here, after we bought that, I've never heard of a plan to replace that. And it's been a great truck. We're hoping to keep it running, but we need to get a plan. The fire truck you probably see the most on the street is 19 years old, 201, engine 201. It makes every structure fire and every EMS run to assist the medic units. The truck after that's 18 years old. Our boat's 16 years old. We were lucky enough to get an $80,000 grant to refurb this. Prior to that, it went out of service, and we couldn't even get $30,000 to get 2 boat motors. We had to beg and borrow from the city of Cincinnati through some grant money, and they were able to give us $30,000 to get that boat out on the water to make a difference. Our Dodge staff pickup truck's 14 years old. Our backup ambulance is 9 years old. Our new one's already 3 years old, because when we bought it, it was in 13, it was a 12, because we could get it quick because our other squad was breaking down so often.
That's probably on a 5-year plan too to replace that one, right?
When we were Dayton Fire Department, the city of Dayton Fire Department, we replaced our medic unit every 5 years. And then they start buying those big ones that cost about $250,000, then it went up to about 7 or 8 years. But like the ones we have now, we replaced every 5 years when we were Dayton. So, and in this, you'll see the history, what the truck actually is. It's all spelled out. And then I want to get into our tactical goals. I mean, what are we going to do about this? And this is what the officers and myself came up with, Karen, and talking to other chiefs around. You know, again, #1 goal is our EMS monitors. And, you know, you can no longer update them with their software, and they're at their max. As an EMS provider, it is extremely important that our ALS professionals have the access to medical equipment that allows them to deliver the best patient care to our citizens. One of the major, most used items in our department's ambulance is the heart and defibrillators. Again, they're 7 years old and cannot provide an additional patient care that is not available to ALS professionals, and a new monitor, so it's so outdated you can't add anything else to it. Again, they use those on all their ALS runs with cardiac heart attacks. They're able to transmit patient statuses to the hospital before the patient arrives at the door. That's a big thing, especially if you have heart history. And we have both of our communities are old. We have an older community, so a lot of our runs are cardiac.
You know, Ben knows pretty much about this situation, right?
As far as
IT, things that maybe you could help.
I mean, I do IT profession, but what he's mentioning about the software not being updated.
That's what I mean.
That's the company decides to no longer support that device, then they're going to not support the device.
Right.
And then she's right. That's
Makes it
something we gotta look at.
Right. It's like a truck. Like when we were dating, when I started, all our trucks were 1960s and the 70s. Probably still have them, but we couldn't get parts anymore. I mean, they ran, but you couldn't find brakes for them anymore, or different parts for them. They just didn't make them anymore, so we had to go with other apparatus.
So when you're looking at buying what you need right now, or you're going to look for something better than that may be coming along?
I think when the time comes when the cities want to ante up, that we look what's feasible for our city, and we don't have to have a Cadillac. You know, I think we can get something in a middle price range that. And it doesn't have to be as big as what we have now, because to be honest with you, the truck we have now can't fit down half of our streets, and that is a problem. You know, find something it's a double axle, something a single axle that we can get down every street, so you don't have to worry about, oh, what's that address? Oh, we can't take black truck, we got to take this truck. You know, our squad was the same way. We want to, get a bang for our buck. This is a great medic unit, and it costs half the price of what our spare is. You know, our spare was, I think when he bought that, $250. Now it's up in the $3s, and we got this for $175. So I don't want to call it a throwaway, but we've got a good maintenance. The person that contacts us when he knows when it's ready for an oil change, and we just had it over yesterday over at Fuller Ford. They had a recall. We got that fixed. It took like 2 hours. Brought it over to Summerall. We have a front end alignment put on it already. Due to another run, due to the street with it being south of Fallon, if everybody's been on south of Fallon, it's a gravel street with 5 houses. I think the squad went this way and the back went that way, and it lost the electric. I don't know if it shimmied off sneered off the electric or something got disconnected, so the company's supposed to come, I think, tomorrow to look at that. So we're running our backup right now. It happens. But I think the monitors is what we need right away. According to the American Hospital Association, the lifespan of such a device is 5 years. We're on 7. So, and again, I'm going to call this all wish list. I know we don't have the money to get all this stuff, but I think as a group we need to start looking how and when we can start making some of this happen.
I think we need we've got a dollar figure for the defibs. We need some good faith estimates, if not harder numbers, for all 3 of the other items. And I think we need, I know we need it pretty quick, because we're going to get it into our respective budgets for the year.
We got to have it by April 1st.
yeah, I don't know what, yeah, do I think that we need, do I think that it's feasible to have 3 new guys right out of the chute? I don't think anybody thinks that's going to happen, but if we can phase 1 per year, you know, what, I don't know what we pay.
I've got
starting guys,
going to get
burn
to that.
and all that sort of stuff. So, okay, so you've got the numbers. I think that's what we need to, you know.
The 2 defibrillators, they're $32,900 a piece. Or that's for 2, I'm sorry. Okay, and then you add on, total price would be $65,000, okay, the $32,900 each. So it's $65,800, and then the accessories are $7,592. The grand total is $73,392.40.
That's on page 8.
Yes. So that might come down with the trade-ins, with the 2 we have now. I don't know how much, I can't tell you exactly how much that's going to be.
So let's just plan worst case and anything that.
So we have 75,000.
Find money, we find money.
How much is a person, how much is renovation?
Right, I haven't got any renovation, but for personnel, if you were going to hire 3 right now.
No, per each.
67,700.
That's all in.
That's annual salary, health insurance, dental, life, retirement, holiday pay, Christmas bonus, and gear. That's everything we put into a firefighter.
$68,000 a year.
$67,007.
Do you see OT going down as a result of hiring new people, or
I don't.
any savings?
I don't see it going down. It's always going to be there. You're always going to have.
Yeah, let's plan worst case scenario.
And in total for 3 firefighters out of the chute would be $201,000. You know, for 6 it'd be $402,000. You know, that's what we want to shoot for eventually down the line. Is that second medic unit service. That's 6 extra guys, 2 extra per day to run that other medic unit. So we don't lose. Ones that we lose last year. 2012, we lost 226 runs to our neighboring cities. 13, we lost 136 to our neighboring cities for a total of 362. So estimated loss EMS was like 108,000.
So if we were to add another guy or gal, we'd have 6 per shift.
Yes.
Well, technically, I guess.
Yeah, we would stay 6.
We'd be able to run 3 pieces of equipment at that point.
We would run 2 still.
We couldn't run 3. So
And what that one would help is a lot of times, like I said before, is that cardiac arrest, trauma, shooting, anything where they're going to need a second medic in the back. Now they pull that medic off the engine. You have 2 officers in the engine protecting 2 cities. You would still have 3 at least coming back on a fire truck and 3 going to the hospital. At least you'd have 3 people to make somewhat of a difference. Because, you know, you got to figure a guy's got to drive, a guy's got to hit the fire hydrant, the other guy's got to get the hose off. And with our 7-story buildings and our 1-8, and then the buildings up at Grants Park, the way they're configured, it's going to take 3 or 4 guys to get a hose up some of these buildings, and it's not going to happen.
what is it that we need to get an extra piece of equipment on the road? How many people? Obviously, one's not going to do it. It's 2
Well,
people.
and that's something the
2
board
people get another piece of equipment on the road?
To look at it, if we had 2 more per shift to 6 people, do you want a second squad on, or do you want a second fire truck on the road?
Well, I mean, the idea is to offset our cost by getting some of this $109,000 that we've lost back. So we need you to tell us, if we get 2 more people in, you get all of this back, some of this back. Obviously, this isn't a hard, fast number, but
To recoup that money, you're going to need 6 people. To recoup that money, you're going to have that second squad on the road. That means you have 2 in Medic 280, you have 2 in the backup squad, and then you would have your 3 firemen.
so we need to add 2 people now, or
You need to add 6.
you need to add 6 people?
Yeah, 2 per shift. You need 2 on
Okay,
Medic.
so this number, we're not going to get this back anytime soon. Okay, so.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, so we got the defibrillators, we got the person, or personnel, 1 person, and then
What,
we have some other estimates there.
sorry to interrupt, what, some of the Dayton Council folks can shed some light, when do you see substantial growth as far as your new buildings? I see one house down there. Does anyone have an estimate of timeframes, permits pulled, anything?
No time frame yet, no.
Really, nothing. Just waiting.
We've got one building done, as you've seen. Got more on the way. Told that we'd have 5 by the end of this year.
But those are all single-family houses, nothing substantial.
No.
That is correct.
And there's some condos that we're working on that
Right.
we have, they brought plans,
They
but
haven't been approved yet.
nothing's been.
Is that Brendan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's a 100-unit deal. You're 2 years out before anything's
That's correct.
at best case scenario. So you're not going to add critical mass on the riverfront for years.
I wouldn't imagine so, no, sir.
I'm just trying to get an idea, Mike, of what,
Right.
yeah, we all, hopefully Bellevue's got something coming, hopefully Dayton's got something coming, but realistically, when is it coming and how do we plan for that? And I know you've been behind the 8 ball already, but, we gotta stretch this thing out and present something that, I don't want to go to the city with such a big nut that they say, no,
Right,
I
no
wanna
way,
go."
blue sky,
Little-
you're done.
Yeah.
Right, I totally get
Well, I
that.
think if we have a blue sky, hey, here's all in, but here's what you can bite off in little chunks.
Right.
It's gonna make it more palatable and maybe we get somewhere.
So why don't you run the rest of the numbers? I know you have, so we talked about it before the meeting.
What I have numbers on is the defibrillator manpower.
Okay.
We do not have an estimate on what it would cost to tear out a shower.
I think this would be a reasonable request, would be the 4 or 5 items on your list, get us some cost estimates for the next meeting. I'd also like for you to do some comparisons for runs where Thomas does, Newport does, how many runs they do.
Well, Newport,
Per personnel, in other words, they do X amount of runs per year, they have this much personnel. We do this much, we have these. I know Captain,
Newport?
no, Paul, they're reasonably easy to get, pull them off the computer, share that with everybody here so
Well,
that we can.
Fort Thomas has
I do that.
7 on
I
shift,
get the numbers from
Yeah.
dispatch.
and they're not even close to our run volume.
Yeah,
So Newport's got 12, and they do a lot.
But before we take this to our city councils and we ask them for money, we need some facts to give them. And we need.
Oh, absolutely,
Facts so
absolutely.
that we know
So
what we're
you're-
doing, so that.
our run numbers are substantially higher. I have, unfortunately, throw myself under the bus. I haven't gotten the last couple quarters. But when I do, the numbers are substantially higher than the surrounding communities. I get them from us, obviously, and Fort Thomas and Newport, and do a comparison, and we're substantially higher than they are.
So you're adding a bathroom, doing a little remodel. You're not doing an addition outside of the current footprint of the building. So if you put a $75,000 placeholder in there for hard and soft costs, it's probably, you're adding some toilets, urinals, showers. Again, I'm just
Right.
kind of spitballing quick. And what's a fire truck cost? What?
Well, an engine-
I heard $1 million.
An engine, you're looking at anywhere from 500 to 600,000.
Okay.
And that's not a Cadillac, which we don't need.
Okay.
A ladder truck, you're looking anywhere from 8 to $1 million.
Okay. So you're
Now,
saying
cities are putting 3,200 and
32,000.
32,000 in, starting like 2 years ago?
36,000.
36,000, but I know that's being paid, used to pay the medic unit.
Right.
So once that's paid, is it paid next year?
Another year.
One more year, and then that'll start adding back up, which it's not going to come close to a fire truck, but it'll be a down payment or something. I think the problem, we're in this problem is because about the last 12 or 13 years, we weren't able to really get much on our budget. I know Chief Lynn asked for things, and it just, we weren't going to get it. And now we're at 12 years later, and the trucks are 12 years older, and the cities have changed within 12 years, and we are behind the ball, and it's just something that I think once we get up to where we need to be, it's something that's, I probably won't be here when that happens, but it's something that the cities are going to constantly have to stay on top of, depending on the growth of your city.
Well, one of my notes here was that we didn't create this problem, but it's really our task to take and move forward and fix it, so.
What kind of grants are available to replace some of the equipment?
We applied for the apparatus grant. We did not get it. And we are applying for defibrillators, and we didn't get that either. We are getting grants, but we did not get this past year. Now, there is a safer grant that we want to apply for, and we have to apply for it like soon, is for 3 more firefighters, paramedics. And what that is they would pay for the first 2 years, and after that, the department would take them salaries up. So would that be something like within a week or 2, we would have to start applying and send us in something you think we'd be able to go for? Or you don't think that would be good? Within 3 years, 2 years, the city's every 2 years picking that price up. That would actually be added into my budget, but
It's a big add to your budget.
it's a big add.
I mean, it looks like, Mike, if you take all this quick and dirty math, you got $2.5 million of needs. 75 for defib, 68 per person for 3, $75K for a bathroom, 600,000 for 2 engines, if you're saying, 900,000 for a ladder. You know, if we can phase in a person, if you're saying you need the monitors right away, the defibs, if you can phase a person in, you know, 1 per year for the next couple years, you're going to have to be able to house that person, so you've got to do the bathrooms. And it sounds like, you know, unfortunately, you know, we're not going to be able to fund hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's going to be the payment plan for when we need a piece of, you know, $500,000 to $1 million equipment. You know, it seems like defib, maybe 1 person a year in a bathroom remodel is something that's a bite-sized chunk. But again, I need you to tell me that.
I think that's a great start.
On the back of that.
What I think is, do you think the cities will, you want me to add this in on that budget this year? Or do you think, no, you want to go back and talk to your cities? Because I don't want to put all this in and it's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, you're at 10% if you're $250,000, or I'm sorry, $2.5 million bucks for the whole nut, and if you take defibs for 75, one person for 70, and a bathroom, again, if it's, you know, 75,000, somewhere in there, you're at 10% if you just take those 3 things. That's a hell of a lot more, you know.
That's 10%, not counting the other percentages we need for
Everything else that you're, yes,
gas,
these are our
fuel.
These are the main goals. So, you know, I think the ask is hey, we're still not getting enough. We need to increase our budget this plus. You know, we need that rainy day fund. It's just not, this is a great start. You know, I agree. I think we need some harder numbers just so it's something factual and not my math. But yeah, I think, I'm speaking for, you know, the whole city, which, you know, I have no authority to do, but, you know, half of $250,000 is going to go, you know, a lot smoother than half of $2.5 million.
Yep.
So
if you can get us,
We can do that.
I mean, you know what personnel costs, so that's an estimate you pulled out pretty quickly. The defibrillators, you have an estimate.
So the
If you can
remodel.
get an estimate on remodel, and I think those are legitimate things that we can present to our cities and move forward, and try to move forward to get them to put in their budgets, and then work on the other issues as we go. Let them know that we do have capital outlay for big equipment moving forward, and you might want to start putting some cash away for that as well.
And even if the cities are putting, you know, we've all heard Virgil say, I think he said when he was going out, that, hey, the big trucks are always going to be a as needed basis. We're always going to have to take a loan out. We're probably never going to have $1 million+ sitting around waiting. We wouldn't, you know, but if we can address these smaller items, you know, I think everybody here understands that we're going to have to, you know, take a note out anytime we have to get a big piece of equipment, you know, truck or what have you. So
I'll have those numbers by April for the next meeting.
I mean, I would think we probably ought to have them before that if we need
I can give
to.
them to you as soon as I get right down to do an estimate on that
I'll
basement.
forward mine and to the city.
I mean, we used to meet monthly. If we need to have a meeting next month, and you know, we used to keep that placeholder date. to get it in, you know, or maybe we meet in 2 weeks to have it on everybody's, you know, schedule for the next council meeting. That, hey,
That's what you need to do
here's what the cost is going to be.
before the
I'd
council.
like to do that, is have a monthly meeting instead of bi-monthly, so we keep a push and keep some traction on it. Bi-monthly, every other month, it lose importance, lose traction.
Well, if we just keep that placeholder date, you know, in this instance, to get it in before the budget is obviously very important. You know, if you can have those numbers in 2 weeks,
We'll do
I
it.
don't think.
We'll just call a meeting and
Yeah, we can, you know, let's schedule it now, and hey, this is what we need, this is what we feel we'll go to the cities with, but by no means what we need, but it's a start.
Okay.
One more question. Mike, when you get these bids, you're getting more than one bid on the defibrillators and on the
Yes.
construction? Have you got more than one bid
Yeah,
on that?
the medics are looking at, like, this is sold, and there's numerous other ones out there that
Okay.
guys are, I've got an EMS committee that's all they do,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I think you guys have been doing it, I know, for a long time. And to answer, is it Jeff?
Yeah.
Your question, you know, with their grants, I think these guys have been, you know, putting Band-Aids on things and, you know, making things last much longer than their useful life is for a long time, writing grants. Obviously, none of that's going to stop. Chief, you're always,
Right.
you know, preaching that. But we need to stop asking that question. That's built in, that's a given. They're going to keep doing that. We need to fund as though there's nothing there. And no, again, no offense, I think it's a great plan, but that's how we've gotten to where we're at. Well, what's available? What can we go beg and plead for? We're going to keep doing that, but we're going to
budget.
budget as though there's nothing there.
That's icing on the cake.
That's all I have. I want to welcome Ben and Jeff, Fire Board. Looking forward to working with both of you.
I think, does Mr. Manning have a?
Mr. Manning, yeah.
Audit report, so we get
Yeah,
that.
sorry, we went to him on first.
Ready?
Yeah.
Well, good evening, and thank you for having me tonight. The reason for my visit is to present the audit report for the fiscal year that ended June 30th, this past June 30th. So, the couple comments, I know that you just had the report put in front of you tonight, so after you've had a chance to kind of take a look at that, it does make good bedtime reading. You can, any questions, forward on to the chief or to Bernie, and if I need to be of any assistance, I'd be glad to answer any questions. A couple of things that I would point out about the report. You're used to seeing the financial report on a cash basis. These financial statements are presented on a full accrual basis of the county. It's a generally accepted accounting basis. In the packet on the top pocket of, when you open the top folder, is a recap that basically takes the income loss for the year on a cash basis and translates and shows you how we go from that number to the results that you're looking at in these financial statements. Of course, the accrual basis means that we're recording receivables for, in particular, for the squad runs that have not yet been collected as of the end of the fiscal year. And on the liability side, we have debt for the debt service for the ambulance that was purchased. And then we also have a depreciation expense, which is the amortization of the cost for all equipment purchased in prior years. So there is some big items there, but that hopefully that recap will help you to see that. As far as the audit goes, the audit involves testing the records of the department, and there were no material exceptions that I found that were brought to my attention. Therefore, the opinion on the financial statements were that they present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the department. The couple things that I would say about the statements is that I've also this year presented the year ended June 30th, 2014, but also as a comparison the balances for June 30th of 13, which were also statements that I've audited. I think as just an observation, as you know, the probably the largest expense of the department, the most important asset of the department is your farm personnel, and if you look at the percentages, you know, over 80% of the costs that you're incurring are for the firemen and benefits, payroll taxes, those kind of things. Second to that is, of course, the maintenance of the apparatus and the equipment. And so, as you're aware, what the chief has reported on. And then with that, if there's any questions about what statements we've presented here, I'd be glad to answer those. Otherwise, give you a chance to read those and come back with questions. I'd be glad to answer in the future. As far as the one thing that I would mention, the statements, when we look at them on an accrual basis, also involve some degree of estimates at times. In particular, I think the one item in these statements is the uncertainty of just what are the future collections going to be for the squad runs. As you know, some of those billings are soft billings that we may not see any collection on, but also the amount of billings that are made to the insurance companies into Medicare. You know that you're not going to get 100% of those items billed, and so as we look at what that receivable would be, I work with Bernie on and Tim at Medicount to look at what is it that we were able to collect in a period from the beginning of July through sometime in early December, and based on that, we determined that plus what else we might collect going forward, and that's what we recorded in the financial statements. But again, there is some uncertainty about how much that would be.
That actually went up. Compared to 13 and 14, squad billing actually did go up. But it is, you never know what you're going to get. You know?
Yeah, and it's interesting how comparable from year to year that becomes. Roughly for the end of the 2 years that were presented, the end of June of 14, just under 46,000 is what we determined were receivable, and for the prior year was just under 43,000. So, of course, the majority of your collections you're going to get probably in the first 6 months of your from the billing. So that's was my observation.
We have a motion to accept the auditor's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Here's your work. Okay, let's see, I guess Mr. Barrister's report.
First, let me make note of the loss of your community and to your larger family, and a colleague and a friend, a classmate of mine, Jack Fisher. Jack was a good man, a good lawyer, and he will be missed greatly. You can certainly replace the position of a solicitor. There's lots of lawyers who can do those jobs. Jack was a good human being, a fine fellow, and he will missed in my community. Like I said, he was a classmate of mine, known him for a long time, so I'm very sorry for your loss, as for my side also. Shock. Absolute shock still. The lawsuit with the Department of Labor, everything has been briefed. We will get a date for our final hearing from the judge. It'll probably be March, April. I think everyone's gotten copies of briefs. If not, let me know. Everything is briefed. Our final memo was filed at the end of January, and we have to call back into the court's office and get a date. According to the state, first time they're going to be available is probably April, so it'll probably be April. Certainly by the time we come back next time, I will have a date. I will know when the hearing is going to be. I won't know when the decision is going to come forth, but it's going to come to an end at that level at some point. The only other thing I can, and if you have any questions, I can answer about where that is. I had on my spot this morning, I did not get this on an email because I was out after 4. There's a letter dated February 16th from Kentucky Retirement Systems concerning the application of certain accounting standards for the 2015 year. I haven't had a chance to reconcile this with what we were told by the state auditor last year. If they're making a change, I will make sure the resolution of the conflict is made and let you know how to proceed next year. As of right now, I can't make them both fit together because they're different. Could be a signaling a change in what we thought the law was and what the state auditor told us last year, that this particular GASB standard was not applicable. If they're changing that, that's fine. I'll let you know so you can move forward. Yeah, that's all I have. If there's no question.
Thank you. The local 3751.
Good evening. I also wanted to welcome the new members. I don't know if you know who I am or not. My name is Brian Boyers. I'm the president of our small 15-member local through the IFF and KPFF. I'm sorry, it was Jeff, right? Jeff and Ben. So welcome. I hope you all can carry on what we've got the ball moving in the right direction. I feel we got the right people in the right spots to help take this place into where it needs to be in the future. And I hope you're on board with us, and we'll see how it goes. I also wanted to thank the previous members that are on the board. I don't see any of them here, but thank them for their service. I know that I know this probably is not what everybody wants to be doing on their what is tonight, Thursday night or Wednesday nights, whatever it is. I know it's a lot of time and effort, and we appreciate it. The way we look at it, you're our CEOs, you're our bosses, and I hope that you guys can take ownership in this fire department too. I mean, it's pretty sad to know that some prior members didn't even know what inside our firehouse looked like. I hope you guys would come down if you didn't know what it looked like, and I know a couple members have, and we appreciate that. We like that. I'm maybe speaking out of line for the chief there, but where we feel you're all more than welcome to come down, see what we do, how we do it. I think that's important for, what other boss in the company doesn't know what his employees have to do, I think that's pretty important.
Sign up for some runs?
Yeah, you're more than welcome. I know I'd wait till it warms up. It's a lot more fun. But, I want to thank the chief also. I know it's easy for us to sit back there and go, oh, yeah, this makes so much sense to us. But for outsiders looking in, for you guys, it might not be as easy to go, what's a safer grant mean? Or what's it take to put 2 guys on or 6 guys? How do you do that? And we were like, man, that makes so much sense to us. But sometimes we forget that outsiders that haven't been in the fire service their whole life don't know exactly what that means. They have to kind of, have to understand it a little better. It's not easy for the chief to put himself out there. For many, many years, we never had a fire chief that was willing to stick his neck out there sometimes and do things for us, and we appreciate that. And I think he knows that, and we tell him that. And it's been great to work for the chief, and we're going to continue to help him in any way he needs. Just like we'll help you guys. If there's anything we can do for you guys as employees or just individuals, let us know.
I'd like to echo that. I've rode along a couple times on some shifts and found it quite enlightening. I spent the day from 8 in the morning until about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. One of these days I'm going to do an entire 24-hour shift. Family, kids, it can be kind of hard doing that. But it's good to get there regardless. I've done it 2, I think 3 times, maybe twice. Yeah. But regardless, it's really good. It's fun, if anything. You jump in the back of the ambulance, put the headphone on. It's really cool. But yeah, it's enlightening to do that.
All
I can't imagine it being fun.
Well, it's fun for about the first few rounds, and then after that, it is a job. Now, I've stood up here in front of you guys and said this before. We treat it as a job. However, if our heart wasn't in it, we wouldn't be doing it. It's not like we're going to be millionaires doing this. We all know that. But everybody out there and everybody that works for us, I think our heart's in these two cities. Most of the faces, not all, but most of the faces, they grew up in these two towns. Whether we live here or not anymore, we still have family, we still love these two towns, and that's why we're here. And with that said, we've been talking a lot about the manpower and the SAFER grant and the renovations and the 5-year plan. We never had a 5-year plan. We always had that 5-year plan in our mind. Anybody that's been here more than a couple of years after the merger, we had this grand scheme that this merger was going to happen. It was going to save money for the cities, but it was going to take these two fire departments from two smaller to a nice big department, to be the size of Newports and the Fort Thomases. Well, 15 years later, is it now 15? We've lost positions. We know that. It's no secret, and we as a union feel that, manpower is as important as anything on that list. Now, they're all equally as important. And when we talk about an extra person, you said one guy, how do we filter that one guy in to make a difference? 3 guys, how do we filter 3 guys in to make a difference? I know I'm talking about officer level stuff, but when we're talking about dollars and cents, we also got to think of how is it going to help our communities? How is our money going to be spent best to help these communities? And I think the chief was talking about the SAFER grant, and if I didn't miss the answer, I'm sorry. Is it okay to apply for SAFER grants? Because if we all know, this last legislative session, the IFF pushed and pushed and pushed, and thank goodness was able to push the SAFER grant through again. Now, is that going to happen next year? Maybe not. What about the following year? Maybe not. We don't know. But the way we feel as a union, if we're considering wholeheartedly hiring even 1 or 2 or 3 or 6, whatever you guys decide to do, that SAFER grant to us, that's money in your pocket. If you get that grant, and I don't know the details, and Karen may be able to explain it better, but if it's given 2 salaries for 3 guys for 2 years, and after that you have to pay 50%, then after that you have to pay 25% or 75%, and then 100% of that salary. If we're really thinking about it, it might be something to really to get, heck, we might get lucky. Now, with that being said, I think the chief was 100% right when him and I spoke about it. You better be wholeheartedly on board before you apply for a grant, because if you get a grant and you don't use it and you turn it back in, you'll never get another one. We do know that. And there's other departments around us that have done that, and I bet you they're still kicking themselves for turning the grant back in. But that's just wanted to kind of just go on the manpower. 1 extra guy per engine. The NFPA says that the standard is 4, and we're running with 3, sometimes 2. And I gave Karen all the information, and she'll be able to get it out to you guys once, sometime if you're even interested. For the first time in history, we actually have evidence that says 4-man engine crews are more effective than 3. For so long, we just had chiefs saying, yeah, we need 4. We need 4. The NFPA says we need 4. We need 4. Well, now they've done studies, test after test through the IFF. The New York City Fire Department spent millions of dollars because their 1 guy in engine is 100 guys more per day they got to put on. And they came with all the numbers. 1 guy doesn't just say, oh, that's a 4 or 3. It actually increases their effectiveness by more than 25%. So in order for that 1 task that was going to take, say, I have all the numbers and I can get them to you, 10 minutes, now it takes 7 minutes. Well, 3 extra minutes when you're in that trapped house by yourself, that's life or death. But for the first time, we've actually have scientific evidence that says it's effective, and that's what is needed. So don't take those things lightly, and I know you don't take them lightly, and I know it all comes down to dollars and cents. But what I'm asking for you guys as our union, our union president, is go to your cities and beg for money. And I know you guys beg for money for everything. But if I can come to the city council meeting and just help in any way, say, hey, how important this money is, and we know that public works is important. We know that. We know the police department is important. We know that. But if there's any ways to cut, to raise money, we're involved. We'll help out however we can. If we can get information for you to take back to the cities, them saying through the union, however, if we get it through Karen to you guys or however it needs to be, we're on board. We'll do anything we can to help. That's how important we feel it is. A couple other quick things I know we hadn't talked about. We received $5,000 for the union. We have a ladies auxiliary group still. We've talked about this in the past, and new members may not know this. Back when it was a volunteer firehouse, everybody's wives were members of a ladies auxiliary. Well, that tradition's carried on. There's still a ladies auxiliary through Fire Department of Bellevue Dayton. Every year they do one huge fundraiser, and they make a lot of them. And they usually come to me and say, hey, what do you guys need or want that the fire chief can't get you guys? What do you need that he can't budget? And this year we decided that the most important thing was to try to get our training center fenced in and safe from kids getting in there and damaging things. So they said, well, it's $5,000 to get the fence done. I said, well, I don't know, but I'll find out. And the first quotes we got back wasn't enough. It was $6,000 something. Found another place that they said they would do it for, it was like a little under $5,000, about $5,000. So that would have been done already. It was supposed to be done on Monday, but the snow came in and kind of kicked us out of there. So that is getting done. I know the city of Dayton had a couple concerns, and they said there were some kids getting in there, and that's the last thing we want is a kid to get hurt in an area that we're designed for us to try to keep ourselves from getting hurt. So just wanted to pass that on. We also were contacted by Justin Fussinger and a gentleman named Eugene. Wow, I just drew a blank.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, they are. Apparently, for years and years and years, all the kids from Dayton that were the middle-aged kids, they didn't have any summer league baseball. They had their little Dayton Youth League, but then once they got up in the high school, there was no knothole teams basically for the local area. Justin and Eugene decided to take the challenge of trying to get a knothole team together for the kids of Dayton. And they came to us, asked for money, and we donated some money for them. And I would just, challenge the city of Dayton. I don't know if they've even come to you or not yet, but maybe take interest in that because it is the kids of Dayton that are going to be.
Well, the kids go everywhere to play knothole.
Yeah, that's what he said. There's just no local place, and the way we feel, we've always, as a union, said if any of the kids in our community need money, we'll find a way to make it happen. We do every year. We sponsor teams from Bellevue, Dayton. We do the high schools, all their yearbooks and stuff. We put money towards all that, and but. I just wanted to pass that on. And that's pretty much all we have unless anybody else has anything for us.
I think when you talk about going to Bellevue City Council, I think the fact that you're here, that you're talking about this, I see 2 newspapers here that are at this meeting that it'll be put on the web. Sometimes it grows to what they write to nky.com. So I think the fact that we're having this discussion and I've been working as a Bellevue councilman for a year now, letting at every meeting, when Mike gives his report, to let people know that the fire department has great needs. So
we appreciate that. We definitely do. So thank you.
You said there was a report showing the effectiveness of one.
There is, and if you would like that, they actually have they have all the statistical data,
yeah,
and then they also have videos showing side-by-side comparison, 3-man versus 4-man doing similar tasks.
Is it like in a document?
Yeah, I have it all in Jump Drive. We can email it out.
Yeah, if we could like get it, reference it in this, and attach it as a permanent attachment.
And it's time. The more in your brain, the more people you have, the less time it takes to save somebody's life, to be more efficient.
Agreed.
I wouldn't even say efficiency. I would say time.
That's exactly true.
With that on the snowstorm we had the other night, and listening to, I was off on the day, President's Day, and they were getting bombarded with runs. I mean, the medic unit had like 6 runs before noon. The engine was going out, and I had to make the decision. I called in, and I had to create overtime. And I said, bring in 2 extra people. So we put 3 people on the medic unit, and we put an extra one on that fire truck. Because carrying that gear with the sidewalks through it, or carrying patients out, it's just safer. So I mean, it's just something that you have to do. And that extra person.
You had a tired person probably because when you call overtime in, it's somebody that's already worked.
Oh, yeah.
So you got a fresh body the way we're talking here. So.
Yeah, I'll just leave you with the one thing. You look in our little geographical region. We right across the river we have a Class 1 fire department in Cincinnati that has how many members on per day?
A day.
300 firemen a day. 100 something.
They have like a staff of 900, so I would.
Yeah, 300 something firemen on a day, which obviously 4-man engine crews. Newport, depending on their staffing levels, they're 4-man, 3-man. And we got Fort Thomas, and we have, up to our south, it just kind of falls apart around there with Southgate and Wilder, depending on how many guys they have on. If we get a fire run today at your house and you're trapped, you have, depending on if the squad's gone, you got 3 or 2 guys coming, with Fort Thomas being automatically dispatched and Newport coming. Newport has maybe 10 guys a day if they bring everybody, which they don't. And Fort Thomas has between, 6 and whatever. So that, we tally them numbers up, we're still under 20 people probably. The city of Cincinnati gets 50 on the first alarm. I don't care if it's a smell of a fire or whatever. They got 50 guys coming, and we figured it out. If we wanted to do that, we'd have to call everybody from the whole county to come. So, will one person make a difference? I don't know, but I sure would like to have that extra set of hands there to find out. So, something to think about. Thank you.
Before we do the audience, let's schedule the meeting for 2 weeks from now. Everyone has their calendar.
Sure.
Third, I come up with the third.
Wednesday's the council meeting?
Yeah, so the third would be the 7th, the third Wednesday would be the 17th of March.
We're talking before the council meeting, weren't you?
Oh, that's right.
We need to.
Yeah, you can't do it after the.
So you want to do it 2 weeks from today?
That's what it would, yeah.
Dayton will be the 2nd, March 2nd.
Dayton will be the first Tuesday, which is the 2nd,
That's the 3rd.
or the 3rd.
Third,
Okay,
I'm
but
sorry.
before that, we're gonna do the week before.
2 weeks from now would be the 5th, which is after our
Which is already
council
after
meeting.
the council meeting.
Let me stop you here. So Dayton's council meeting is the first Tuesday of the month.
Yes.
That's March 3rd.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
So it's gonna have to be, is
So we need to do it March 2nd
on Monday.
on Monday.
there gonna be enough time?
They give you,
I've got everything but that
That's 2
remodel.
weeks, though.
If I can get somebody to come in and give us an estimate on that.
well, if you can get it, great. If we need to come with an estimate or something of that nature. I think we need to get, we need to get the numbers, but, just as important, we need kind of to discuss that night, what's our ask? Not Dayton may go ask for 2 and Bellevue ask for 1 or vice versa. Let's get a unified voice. Here's what we're asking for. If it's 1 person and a remodel and defibrillators, or it's 2 people, let's get here's what our ask is. Here's what everybody on the fire board is, going back to ask for. So can everybody do the 2nd?
Sir,
Yep.
I can. Are you suggesting that we meet here, or you meet in Dayton?
Does Dayton have a place yet? Or-
We have our school board building, which we've been utilizing.
I don't care where we meet.
We also have a fire department, little meeting room down there.
Is it a public meeting or is it?
Yeah. You're
It
going to
has to be, it has to be posted.
It's going to have to post, you have to advertise it like you would a special
Yes.
meeting.
Is it a week or 2 years?
24-hour notice.
No, you can do it pretty quickly, but we certainly have enough time to fit that, yeah.
Really, it should go before the finance committees of each city and give them an idea so they're prepared for it. That's my opinion. And I don't know how we can do that.
Is that enough for Dayton if I meet on Monday for them to digest that?
We have one here, or maybe,
Okay.
what do you think about that?
That's fine by me if you want to meet then. I do agree that we should have Member Tucker and anybody on
The finance.
the finance
I
committee
think
present.
that's imperative.
And also, I was planning on sharing this information with him as well.
Yeah, but they can propose that. It's better if it goes through the finance committee and they go, yep, I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
That's what we're doing right now with the new group of people we have. Do you do that in Bellevue? Would you submit that to them?
We're
Talking
kind
about
of in the midst of going through assigning committees and
Okay.
so
So you're not-
ultimately, yes.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to do one of them, would it?
No.
I think that's what we ought to do personally.
So fire
And
board
then
meeting,
you
March
plant the
3rd,
seed at your
March 2nd.
Tuesday meeting, and if
Well,
you
that
have
would be
to.
too late. Tuesday would be the council meeting.
No,
I'm
I
saying
mean Monday,
before,
but you're planting the seed for that meeting.
at the
And then
finance committee,
Yeah.
before we come here. It really needs to be run by them because that's where everything's going to go through anyway, right?
I agree.
I would rather not personally. I don't like to get at a council meeting and then all of a sudden I've got this, I've had too much of that in front of me and I've got to make a decision. that I really haven't had a chance to talk about. You guys agree or not?
I'd agree 100%.
Okay.
I agree, but I don't think.
Maybe
this
you
is
guys
something
can, but we're in a position that we
if
can.
you guys can do it.
That's
great,
better
have
than
them
not
there.
all of us, right?
Agreed, yep. So we'll, March 2nd,
So you're on the, you want to do that? Set up the meeting so they can, so the chief can propose, and then again, what
If
are
you
we
want to
going to
try
say?
Dayton, if you want to
Are
call
we
and see
going
if
to
that's
say the
available.
defibrillators in one person? Because we don't want to go in with a bunch of stuff we're not going
It doesn't
to
matter either
be
way.
realistic
Me
about.
too. I just know we usually rotate spaces.
So we'll just call it the Dayton Board of Education at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, Monday the 2nd.
If there's an issue with the board not being available that time, then.
That's what we have to
we can-
look for.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do they have another room in that building, other than that?
Yeah, they do. It's kind of small. It'll seat about 10 people, but not public here.
Right.
Yeah, I think it should
It's not going to
be.
happen.
Make sure we have enough room for everyone to be there.
Yeah.
So are you checking on the school?
Yeah, we'll check.
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
yeah, and I think to Brian's point, you know, should we be, you know, applying for these grants, you know, we're never going to have all the politicians buy in as to whether or not, yeah, we'll fund that or we won't, but we run the company. So we need to make the decision that, yes, we will give these guys the authorization to apply for the grants. And if we go back to the cities when we're awarded a grant, the city says, nope, sorry, we don't have it in the budget, that's when it comes up to us to say, okay, we're gonna make these changes within our company to fund the grant. You know, and if that's taking the $36,000 a year from each city to fund that, or, you know, making tough decisions, you know, and maybe it's a per grant basis. I don't want to fall you guys down with every time there's a grant to apply for it, you have to come ask us. You know, obviously if it's a non-matching grant, that's a no-brainer.
We apply for every non-matching grant, but this is a big grant. This is, you know, we understand that 2 years, it's a big commitment. When does that have to be in? March 9th.
Well, here's the deal with that, though. Realistically, when that money goes away, where are we? I mean, that's what we have to think about as cities. I'm not trying to be negative about it, but what I'm saying is, I've been through this where we get the money and we're all happy, all of a sudden it's gone. We've got to come up with it.
So
We've got to think about it.
what is the match exactly?
Fully funded for 2 years.
It's fully funded
So,
for
I don't
the
know,
first 2 years.
I'd start from scratch. I don't know what it is. It's how many people and what is it? It's 3 people or?
We can apply for as many as we want, but if we
Okay.
apply for 1, we apply for 2, apply for 3.
So if we apply for 3, then they
Yeah.
fully fund those positions
For
for
2 years.
2 years. And then
And
it's
then we pick up the bill.
100% on us.
That's the way I understand it.
No, you just said, I thought you
I thought
said
there was a
before.
50%.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There's a percentage.
Yeah, you can reapply.
I don't know, she doesn't.
We need to find
That's
that
not
out.
saying they'll give us anything.
Well, if we're going
But
to
we'll
ask
apply. I
one
mean,
person
long
in our
as
budget, most likely, why don't we try to apply for at least one personnel? And that way we can say to the cities, hey, we've tried to get a grant for one person. And
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it, if we've got one person that the city would pick up, cities would pick up, you know, why not apply for 2 people? And because if it's gonna burn off after 2 years, 100%, if there's a 50% step down after that, that's what I thought, one of y'all made that comment.
Yeah.
I don't want to quote this, but the way I understand it is it's 100% for the first 2 years, then it's like drops from 100 to 75, 75 to 50, and 50 to 25 is what they're funding. And by the end of that program, if I understand right, we're responsible for that full salary after that, whatever is it, 5-year period.
Oh, I thought you said, I didn't get that.
The goal of it is that the first 2 years, we're going to give all the money up to get the guys on the streets. Because the SAFER grant was designed to get guys back on the road. With guys that,
You know?
It's not 5 years.
how many years?
It's 3 years.
3 years.
The grant, when it was first established, was a 5-year grant. It was 100% funded for 3 years. At the beginning of the 4th year, it was 50% funded. At the beginning of the 5th year, you had to pick up the entire amount. And the way it used to be written was that if you applied for the SAFER grant, you had to show that you could sustain the employees after the 5 years. If you did not sustain those employees, in other words, you had to pick up the 100% tab, and you had to be able to keep them for the life of that, for their life of their pension. If you could not produce that, then what would happen was you would never get another federal grant. Because the idea is, and you still have to think about this, They took that requirement away. After 3 years, if you gotta lay them off, you can lay them off, but you will not get another federal grant. Because you gotta figure, these employees, you're hiring people, and with the knowledge that in 3 years, you may lay them off. So when you go into these grants, you have to go in with a clear conscience and know that you have to have an end game.
That's what I'm saying.
There's gotta be an end game. So in 3 years, and I don't know what the percentage is now, but I can guarantee you that it is not 50%. It's probably 100% for a year, a declining percent the second, a declining percent on the third, and at the beginning of the fourth year, you have to pick up 100% of that. So that's the way it works. It used to be 5, it's 3 now.
Sounds like we need to get the proper information.
Yep.
We'll get it all right.
And when's that due, the app due?
9th of March.
So we would have,
Information in.
if we made it on the 2nd, we'd have a week to still get that application in and.
But that
So we
is
can get that
something to think
information
about.
on the second.
We really need to, it's not about right now, and don't make us lose grants because our eyes are bigger than our belly or whatever. We need to think about, and when that time is up, are we gonna have the money as a city, as both cities, to sustain those people? You don't wanna bring them in anyway and let them go, or I wouldn't want them.
I think it's something we need to definitely address on the 2nd. Let's, think about it. Like I said, we're not gonna get, these seats are gonna change every 2 years potentially. So at some level, we're gonna have to say, we're gonna do what it takes. Or that's gonna be our, $36,000 a year per city that is going to, go to fund that. So also we just lost our rainy day fund. Hopefully that's going to increase, but, these are the decisions. So, again, just March 2nd, Dayton Board of Education. Ben, you're going to check on that.
Yeah, I'll ask the superintendent if that's available. I'll let you guys know tomorrow via email.
Okay, what's plan B if it's not? Because we still need,
Right here.
are we okay here? We've checked that out?
Yeah,
Why would we
let's-
not just do it here?
We can.
Why would you even go, if this is available, stay here.
Can we just do that? Can we just?
Yeah, don't make it any more complicated.
Sure.
We're going to meet here on March the 2nd at 6 o'clock. Anybody from the audience?
What time is the meeting going to be, 6?
6. No audience participation? Need a motion
Must
to
be
adjourn.
Before we adjourn, I'd like to recognize, have the board recognize Jean Cole. She's 12 years spent serving as our community advisor for the city of Dayton. Certainly a passion that, is very noble. So I appreciate Jean's dedication to our city for the past 12 years, and thank you for your service.
And I also think
I
that the
think I
city
heard
needs
that
to
at
do,
our
our
last,
city needs to
last meeting.
show recognition of that too.
I certainly
If you
agree.
haven't already.
Not yet, no. I certainly believe that,
That's a good deal.
and I think that's definitely in order.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second. All in favor?